Okay, so I want to address a few issues that I have found in this new implementation. The first thing is that I don't want to have the room type displayed twice. The other thing that I want to fix is the order in which these are presented. I want this to be in the order of the number of guests that each one of these have. And I want to do the same for our page list. So for example, if I add a king room type and then I add a single room type, I want this to be ordered. Another issue is that when we don't have anything selected in our dropdown and we click add room, it will add an empty room. And here is another problem, that we are able to edit the table and we don't want that. We don't want that, and we also don't want to be able to manually add records in this table. What we want is to have the delete option, but we don't want to add items. So what we are going to end up doing is that we are going to remove this header from the table and we are going to add an icon to delete that record. Another thing that I found that is an issue is this require field. So this is no longer really required, but if we click continue, Pega will complain that we don't have anything here. So that's not the validation that we want. The validation that we want now is to only be allowed to continue when we have at least one room in our page list. And lastly, I'm going to add a new property that is going to sum the room rate of all of the items in this page list. So in this case, our total room rate is going to be 500. All right, let's begin. Getting rid of this room type field is quite easy. You just open the section where it is located and you remove it. One quick way to open the section is using one of these tools here. We are going to use the toggle live UI. So with this on, I'm going to hover over the field that I want to remove. I'm going to click on it and then I'm going to click open in Dev Studio. And this will open the section where that field is located. Here, I'm just going to remove this room type field and save this. The next thing that we want is to have this dropdown sorted by the max guests. So let's toggle the live UI. So if you remember, we are using a data page of type list. And this data page is using something called a report definition. We haven't touched on that, and I'm not going to dive too deep into that subject right now. The only thing that we are going to do is to modify the report definition to retrieve the information in the order that we need it. So here in our data page, we have this section, which is data source. And here we have this report definition. I'm going to open this report and I'm going to order the information by the max guests. So here is all of the fields that we are retrieving. I want to order the information by the max guess. So over here in sort order and sort type, I'm going to remove this from the PyGUID and I'm going to apply a new sort type and sort order to my max guests. So the order is going to be ascending and the priority is going to be the first one. Now I'm going to save this. There we have it. Now I want to do the same, but for the table. So if I add a double and then a single, then I should also have the same order as my dropdown. So single should be first and then double. So to fix this, we can actually use the data transform to sort the information when we are placing it here. So let's open our data transform. Here I'm going to add a new step and we have an action that is for sorting. The target for this action is going to be a page list. So let's give it a room page list. So let's click save. Oops, I forgot. We have to specify by what property we are going to sort this. In this case, we are going to sort this by the number of guests. So let's click save and let's test. In this example, when I add a new one, it should reorder everything. And yeah, as you can see, the single room type is above. The next thing is that we don't want to be able to add empty items. Adding empty items can be done by clicking the Add Item button or by not selecting anything in the dropdown and clicking in Add Room. The first thing that I want to do is to remove these two options. So before that, I'm going to empty this table and I'm going to open this with the live UI. On the configuration of my table, I'm going to remove the header and the footer. And let me save this. We can see that we are no longer able to add items with that header, but we are still able to add items this way. So now what I want to do is to have a condition to add items. And the condition is that if I don't have anything selected here, I don't want the data transform to add a room. So let's open the data transform. Let's add a step. And this step is going to be a when condition. So what is our condition? We want to check if a room is selected. If a room is selected, then we want to run these two steps. So let me move this on top and let me set these steps under or when step. So our condition is going to be is room selected. So what's the name of this property? I forgot. Oh, this is our room page, remember? So let's go to our when condition and let's see if we can find it here. So for this condition, we want to check if the room page PYUID is not empty. So if the room is selected, then we want to add that room page into our room page list. So let's save this and let's see if this works. Okay, yeah, it seems to work. The next thing is that I don't want to be able to edit the information in this table. So if I double click, then I will be able to edit it. This is a very easy fix. The only thing that we need to do is to make this section where this table is read only. So let me open this whole section. So our room table list, we want this to be read only. Okay, that works. Now what I want to do is to be able to delete items from the table. So I'm going to add a new column where I'm going to add an icon to delete that specific row. And it's actually a very easy implementation. So let's open this table. I'm going to add a new column. And here I'm going to add an icon. To add an icon, we can go to data display and select image, drag and drop it in this row. And let's open the properties. Here I'm going to use the standard icon and I'm going to use the delete item icon. Let me click submit and let's see how it looks. It looks fine. Let me remove this image value. And I'm going to add uh, an action on this icon. So when the user clicks on that icon, I want the system to delete that row. And there is one action that is actually for that. In the list section over here, we have this action that is delete item. So let's select that one. Let's see if this works. Yeah, it works. I'm going to make this a little bit smaller. So let me open that section and let's see if I can make it a little bit smaller. Yeah, that looks fine. The next thing is the validation. So I'm going to update this so that this field is no longer required. And instead, I'm going to create a new validation, making sure that we have at least one room in our page list. So the validation, we can add it by opening the case type. Go to validations, add condition, and the message is going to be please select at least one room. So let's see what we can do here. Let's find our room page list. Okay, so here, when do we want to display this validation? We want to display this when the result count is equal to 0. That means that the user hasn't selected any room. Okay, so now we get this validation. Please select at least one room. And even if I select one room here and I click on continue, I will get the same error even when I have one selected because it is checking the page list. Also, here maybe I should change the wording of the message. The last thing that I want is a property that sums all of the rooms that I have added in this page list. So that's actually a very easy implementation as well. So let's open this section. And here I'm going to add a new property. So for this, I need to create a new property. I'm going to name it room grade total. And this property doesn't exist, so we are going to create it. So it's going to be of type decimal. Let's save this. And actually, I don't want text input. I want currency. So let me, I'm going to remove this. Instead, I want currency. And let's select that property that we just created. Room rate total. Let's make it read only. Okay, here we have it. But how do we get the sum of all of the items in this table list? For that, we need a declare expression. Let's create that declare expression. Let's go to the App Explorer. In our reservation class, let's create a declare expression for that property that we just created, room rate total. So set room rate total equal to the sum of our table list, which is room page list. And which property it's going to be? It's going to be rate. Let's save this. And that's pretty much it. Thanks.